once more unto the breach, with no spears, no swords, no bows and arrows, and no allies. I come to you again as Ranulf, and I come to you with no plan, with no cause, and with my humanity in a general melancholic state. And what's more is, in this connection, I can't see you, I can't hear you. So, it seems as though I'm talking to myself. I got nothing to say. I don't feel called to remind you of anything, because you already know everything that I know. And so, while I can jostle your memory, and it can be exciting, and it can be fulfilling, and it can help you, and it can help me in our incarnation here. It's hard to do it just for the sake of doing it, you know? Like, I can give you guys stuff, but I've been under the impression that if I don't package it up right, it usually misses the mark, you know what I mean? So, for example, I could tell you guys that the woman's vagina is a void, is the receptive principle of the world, and is a black hole, essentially, a dielectric field. And so that when a man has intercourse with a woman in this human body, in 99% of the cases, the woman is the one who's receiving energy in that equation. The man's usually giving his energy to a woman. But the thing about a woman being a void is that she already is everything. So what is she receiving? And on top of that, there's no such thing as a man. There's only the feminine. The male human is just an outward expression of the same principle. Because we have fallen into duality, we have a man with a penis, which is just an extended clitoris that grew at about 5 months into the gestation or into the pregnancy in the womb. He was a woman, and then he started to grow a penis as his possible tail and his gills and everything faded away inside of the pregnancy, as he became less and less reptilian or amphibious and more male with his testosterone, and his little nuts started to grow. And since there's no males, the male penis is also a void. If he learns Tantra, he can absorb woman from the energy, absorb energy from the woman. And so, yeah, I'll just cut to the personal shit, may as well. I've had a pearl inside of my womb, a spiritual womb. I've been holding on to it. I've been nurturing it and protecting it since about March, April of this year. So it's about time that it's birthed into the world. Yet, as most things in this life, I've got no clue what it is, why I've been protecting it, how I grew it, or why it was planted inside of me. Anything like that. But back to the tantric stuff, and back to the point of if I teach you guys stuff without packaging it up right, like, because I just told you that stuff, right? But maybe if I don't title the video properly, nobody will ever know that I just said that. And if I don't devote a 30-minute video to saying that, because, like, if you wanted to flounder around, you probably wouldn't have figured that out for 2 years, you know? That's not me being cocky or using my ego, it's just that that's how long it took me. Because I got into tantric sex a while back, and you have to find the right teacher at the right time, or the right message at the right time. So if you want to do the old-fashioned way and go through a bunch of books, you may read 10 books before you realize what I just told you. But because there's not like a big banner, and I wasn't really excited when I said it, and I probably didn't title the video so that you knew that that was coming, and you weren't receptive to hearing it, and you are not able to imply your own definitions to what I just told you, then currently my humanity feels like it's kind of just, I could say that, or I could say another thing, you know, casting stones around. But yeah, so I'll help you with some of the implications. So what that implies is that basically, since the man is the one who sends energy, the woman doesn't really do much of that with her reproductive organs. She's the ultimate alchemist. She takes that sperm, mixes it with her egg, and creates a human being, which furthers our plight in humanity. Another soul comes in to get trapped. At that point, since it's duality, trapped is also a good thing too, because it obviously resonated with being trapped. So it wanted to come experience things, and that can be good. Because sometimes the titans and the gods want to play out their selves into a physical incarnation. But the man can send too, right? Because that's what he's normally doing. So usually he just sends all his energy out. His solar energy leaves with the sperm into her mouth nowadays, or onto her chest, or whatever the fuck people do, or into his condom. And so he loses in that situation, although he is everything. He loses some life force. He loses all of the creativity that he had composed in those last 5 hours since the last time he had done it. And so he's shattered into a whole fresh being, less than what he was before, in this physical duality incarnation, his humanity and his consciousness at that point. So what he needs to do is to learn to take energy from the void. So at first he's the tantric clitoris, receiving energy from his penis. Then he should spiral it up through his body, up his chakras, into his right brain, over around. Because a lot of times once they first learn tantra, the man will take the energy and it'll leave out of the crown once he's pulled it up. So he's taking that woman's energy and giving it out to the world. So once again, lost. Or he can make the Ankh. If you've ever seen the Egyptian cross, it's a cross, but the top is a loop. So he should take that energy up from his root chakra, wrap it around his crown chakra, get the wisdom, and then send it back into his heart. And eventually what should happen is it should become a feedback loop. He should be taking energy from her, melding it with himself so that he's the alchemist, then sending it back to her. She melds it into a new creation with both of their intentions on a similar thing in her energy system. She then refines it into ethereal diamond. He receives that diamond by becoming the feminine portion again in Tantra, sends it through his system, alchemizes it again, gives it to her. She alchemizes it again, he receives it, alchemizes it, sends it, she alchemizes it, he receives it, alchemizes it, right? And in that case, it'd be game over. You could do that process thousands of times in a couple of hours. Neither of you guys losing energy, both of you guys becoming more than you ever were at the beginning. And also still becoming nothing, because nothing is gained or lost here. So, but in your temporal experience, you'll become much more powerful, much more invigorated, much more able to move around in the world. But I mean, that's all just what you want to do, you know? And so that's some tantric sex stuff. Yeah, also there's this principle in this world where, like, if someone comes down that's supposed to do something, they're destined to make a big impact or a big emphasis on this realm in the human sense, then they have an antecedent that isn't like an enemy, but it's like a fall guy. You know what I mean? So if you come into a neighborhood, right, when you're growing up and it's fated that say it's like you're in the projects, and most people join gangs and sell drugs and stuff, then you'll likely come down with a friend who's like a little bit dumber, or like someone in the neighborhood that's kind of like the fall guy. They're the scapegoat. It's one of the archetypes of Capricorn. If you get a certain type of Capricorn that really isn't suited to become that climber, then one of the three types of Capricorns is a scapegoat. They kind of just become the fall guy. And so a lot of times those people are just as powerful as you were in the past life. Like maybe you were a wisdom teacher in Egypt and they were the pharaoh, you know, but in this life coming down, spiritually, anytime that you're getting attacked, it's kind of being redirected to them. They've decided to be the cup in this situation for the pain that would have hit you. So one of my friends too, he's an artist. He's very conscious of this sacrifice aspect to this world. There's in the world of duality, there's always, it seems that almost always, even if it's unseen, there is some pendulum swing, some law of polarity. There is some opposite to anybody's great gain. Um, Somebody else must go through great suffering in the human sense, which both can be transcended. The great gain can be seen as, well, I was just playing my part, and the great suffering can be seen as, I was just playing my part. And I'm neither of those humans. I didn't actually suffer and I didn't actually gain. I'm just a soul, a spirit having a human experience. And also, I think part of the reason why you're getting this version of Ranulf tonight, if you decided to watch this, is that my humanity does desire connection, both in, like, more so even in real life, but also just talking and stuff. And these past few weeks, I've felt more alone than usual. And it comes with its great benefits and with its strife, with its sacrifices as well. But that's what happens. That's what happens. That's what the sacrifice of this path is, of being the hermit, of trying to go along your spiritual path. And it's also brought back, being a Cancer, being a water sign, nostalgia is a key theme. It's brought back nostalgia of the Dionysian era of my high school and early college age, of the altered states that come from being around a group of young people with no purpose besides to have a good time with one another. And the fall of that, the lack of those experiences for the last 3 or 4 years, except for on certain weekends here and there. Because it's awesome to throw your consciousness into the void. That's something that many of my ancestors, including close ones, are very good at. Because it's great when you're a titan or a god to leave here as often as possible. And so anything that you can do to reach that altered state, because at some point the laying on the bed and doing the meditation and the rolling your eyes back up into your skull relentlessly, putting the tongue on the roof of your mouth relentlessly, rubbing the moon oil on your forehead relentlessly, it becomes the point where you'd rather just take the LSD or take the mushrooms, because you're obviously not even because it's basically like this. It's like, because as you guys can see, I'm still able to bring forth messages. Once I press record on that thing, I can get the messages from the gods and all that shit. But it doesn't make my experience any better in this world. In the long term it does, but it's tough to tangibly feel it in the short term. Everything seems fleeting down here, basically. It's like an ancestor from far back came into my field of awareness, into my mind, and I reached into the astral realm to see if he was still there, and I was met with a big tingling in the tops of my head around my crown chakra and a coursing of energy throughout my whole body. And he was also speaking to me to confirm that yes, his astral copy has survived and that he can still walk with me in this path and offer me his energy and be part of the team, basically. And that felt great for like 5 or 10 seconds. You know what I mean? It's hard to, since it is the intangible world that I wander in, all of my results are intangible. So, and that's something I wrote in a text message to my grandmother a year or two before she died, when she wasn't seeing the results of my prowess, of my potential in reality, was that she would have to get used to that, because you're not going to be able to, because I'm on a spiritual path, in so many words, that I work in the gray areas. It's not black and white, so Just like she likes to read books for hours a day, nobody sees the results of that tangibly. They may get it in her vocabulary or in some of her opinions on subjects or in her mind for imagination, but they will never see those hours that she was reading books on her own. So what happens in the dark often does come to light, but it takes a long time. And also, I don't have much of an entrepreneurial spirit. So throughout the last 3 months since I've quit my job, I don't really. The spiritual life isn't me doing readings and pushing for that as much anymore, because that is just being. If you've ever seen Dali, he uses crutches a lot. And that's basically what you can become very easily if you just do astrological readings and consultations for people, is you become their crutch and you become a snail on your own path, because you're just using your tools to help other gods try to remember that they're gods, but they can only do it within themselves. They can't do it with your crutch. Your crutch just gives them glimpses into their own immaculate nature. And so it's a good use of time, and it's better than working when I do get those readings, and I do put my best foot forward into it, and I am successful at being able to contact the spirits that they want to be contacted, or to bring forth some astrological knowledge that can help them in their path. And I think that's a great thing for their humanity and for their soul as well, if it leads them closer to their actual destiny and soul path. And so none of these things are to be underrated. I'm just speaking honestly with you guys right now about my current state of mind. And also, it's like you have to be careful when things don't become traumatic enough anymore sometimes, because the trauma is one of the 3 ways that you program the subconscious mind. So like when people prick their fingers in rituals to get some blood out, that's a trauma, because you'd be surprised. You actually have to push this tack pretty goddamn hard into your finger to break that kind of leathery skin, because the finger pad skin is much different than the skin of your neck, for example. It's much tougher because it's got the fingerprint and it's made for gripping things. And so that tack goes into the muscle pretty far before it actually breaks the skin, because the skin's bending down, and you're going to put that blood on your paper in the ritual, and then burn that paper to the said god. And so when I pushed play for this video, it wasn't traumatic enough, because I needed that trauma for the spirits to come in. And they're here right now, they're speaking to you as well. But at the beginning of making videos, I was almost hyperventilating after I pressed play. And so basically you can transcend the trauma through repetition, which could be something I'm doing right here by repeating this process. But also it's kind of just like, there's great things coming down the pike for me and for other people in this world generally. And so you may as well feel the lows while they're low. You don't need to kid yourself. That's one thing I've learned, is that if you become the yes man spiritually, if you become the yes to adventure and to listening to your intuition, to listening to your guidance, to listening to your spiritual team, to listen to your conscience, then sometimes your conscience directs you to go into a humanity horrible event, to go into a trauma or into a long-term depressive state or whatever. And all the quick fixes that you can do spiritually to get out of them, I'm well aware of them, But it would only be me tricking myself, because the Ben human does have to suffer because of the great climaxes that are going to come later. And so this alter ego of Ben Ranulf may have already played out his whole purpose, and he could just be a YouTube channel that stays up, and then people who learn about another one of Ben's alter egos 5 years down the road can realize that Ranulf exists as another alter ego of Ben and can go watch that. But as of right now and as of these past 4 weeks, it's just like the veganism, you know? And I've got the Scorpio ascendant conjunct Pluto. And that's another thing is like, you can't, my humanity wishes other people knew how cool that was. But that's feeble. So you could have watched all my videos and you could be well aware that that's what I am in this human incarnation, that that's what this body is. But you still won't understand because you'll forget. And that's part of the design of this character that I've built, is that you will forget. But, and just of my soul. But basically, in this life, I'm not to be the martyr anymore. So I'll be seeing this plan out to the end, and that's a plan that's still unknown to me. And so as many alter egos and masks, many personas that need to be created to achieve what I'm here to do is necessary. And what I was going on about with the Scorpio-Pluto, Scorpio-Hades conjunction is the fact that Scorpio and Hades are the rulers of transformation through death. And so if it's time for Ranulf to die, to move on to the next alter ego, then that's what it's time for. And even me mentioning it now means that is what time it was, even if I didn't know that before I started to make this video. And so this is where I can become excited again. As you noticed, in 2 seconds ago, I just sparked something because I realized, okay, good, I'm dying again. That's where I can be comfortable, because through the death, I'll read you something real quick. Now this could be the last wisdom drop you ever get from Ranulf here. So this came through a channel. I'll read you what date it came through. Of Hades himself. And it's not gonna, this is the whole point of Hades and the whole point of me, is that it's not gonna sound profound when you first hear it, okay? It's not gonna sound profound at all. And it may not even apply to you. But 5 years down the road, when people come back to Ranulf and they say, oh, this is another alter ego of Ben, they'll realize its profundity because it'll be shown in my life. This is on 11/11/20, 6 a.m. on Wednesday. I went to Sirius Realm with Astral Body, met with their leader. He upgraded my astral body while guiding me through a scene in a stream in lotus position. So I'm sitting in a stream with about up to my belly button underwater. And it's flowing behind me. So it's flowing through my body to the behind me. But I have a physical body as if in this astral thing. So while the serious dude is working on my astral body, I split it and have another astral body sitting in a stream in lotus position, where I granted myself prosperity for my entire incarnation. Then I was sent / fell through the stream, through a chasm in the stream beneath me that opened up to Hades as the stream rose up. I kneeled before Greek Hades, red cape, black hair, and he placed his two-pronged scepter on my head and told me this: the secret key to transformation is to enjoy it. Knowing, or gnosis, that you are immortal and that you are improving your humanic state. Allow this enjoyment. So, when I was younger, as we all do in this realm, we shy away from transformation. So it took me 5, 6, 7 years to accept myself not as the athlete. So I was not good at transforming into the post-athlete Ben. And I could make many, many, many examples of this. Because when you're ignorant, you don't realize that things serve their purpose and that you take the intangible lessons from your tangible life. So nobody will know, just like I won't know about your life, but this is just me reflecting on me. Nobody will know what playing baseball and football and basketball and everything was like for me. Just like I won't know what you doing your life was about you. Except for to maybe one person or two people in your life that you share this information with on a deep level, and when they care about you so much that they'll take the time out of their day to listen to something that seems insignificant and to find the key within it. To find the God part of Ben or the God part of whoever you're talking to within them. That's the true meaning of namaste, is I see the God within you. So now my transformations, not only are they, so then I became better at transforming, but I became enraged and peeved, at least peeved, also enraged at my state, because I was still egoically attached to the fact that of entitlement and of that misunderstanding. Like when I was young, I wished for, when I pondered to myself about what I wished my superpower was that I could make other people feel my pain at will. I would take it away from them too. I would spare them after a while. But it was that I would make somebody be able to take my pain, to feel it. And so I became embittered. So then after learning that I was the type of thing that was going to transform a lot, that and to push the limits that nobody else pushed. My dad didn't try to not have a job. You know what I'm saying? I could have wasted away at that gym shop, become the manager. The owner would have created other businesses because he was a Leo. He was an ambitious businessman. He was doing good. He was younger than me. He would have created other businesses. I would have, created other gym shops and shit, just speculatively. And we would both be like, upper middle class. We would both be doing great, If I had stayed there as their number one employee, as the face of the gym shop here in North Carolina, right? So I could have kept doing that, and when I reuned with my family, it would be easier for the average human. I would be able to tell them that I was making a certain amount of money, I could pay for all my shit, I'm doing great. But instead, I'm taking the courage, knowing that I could go out and get a job. I've already proved it to myself. I've already proved it to the world. I don't need to prove anything to myself. I know that I'm not supposed to do that right now. So I'm taking the courage of going broke, of having my electricity turned off and then getting it back on, because everything works out when you're spiritually tapped in. Then I went to embitterment and rage, because it was like, all right, so I'm going to do all this transforming, but nobody's going to appreciate it. So I'm still dealing with that same problem as a kid. Nobody appreciates what athletics meant to me and the pain that was caused when I was no longer an athlete. Nobody appreciates the fact that I could have completed college with good grades. As you can see, I'm very articulate and very capable, but that it hurt me so bad to be in college that I had to get out, that it was not a part of my destiny, that it was foreseen by me and everybody else that watched me come down for this incarnation, that wasn't going to be the key, because college has been a waste of time since it was invented, basically, since the library wasn't the key of college. Since the college library became somewhere where people take their laptops in and write papers shoddily and drink coffee at the Starbucks, it's over. Because that's the only point of college. And since they purposely pump pop propaganda down your throat, it's been useless since like the 60s or like the 20s, since the Rockefellers' plan. So basically, in this entire Industrial Revolution 20th century, college has been less than, unless you're in a STEM degree where you need to learn certain mathematics in order to create things. Basically, other than that, it's all useless. So what happens is, and even then it would be better to have an apprenticeship than go to college. So what happens is, I'm supposed to go through all this suffering because that's what a person who's a leader in someone who's actually pushing the edges does. Someone who's pushing the limits of society, right? And so then I became embittered, like, well, why do I have to do all this shit? Everybody else just is lazy, and they get better results short term, you know. And I'm not a very long term thinking guy. Naturally, I'm spur of the moment. So even though I knew I was gonna achieve better results than them later, it was like, well, why can't I just fucking throw them off a cliff now so they don't have to talk to me and think they're better than me for even these 5 years? That's how my ego felt, you know what I mean? Like, they don't deserve to even be feeling good about themselves at all, because their whole life's a lie. So why do they get to wait 5 years before I can prove it to them? Why can't I prove that their existence is shit now, you know? And so that's how my ego felt. And so now, basically, the only time I have any solace is when I'm having breakthroughs. And that's basically the summation of this entire video, is that if you're not breaking through to another level of consciousness and into your subconscious, if you're not breaking through in your magical practice with tangible results to you, fuck everybody else. If you can't tangibly lay in bed at night and say, guess what? I can remember this dream. I don't give a fuck what anybody says, I'm going to remember this dream. Guess what? I am going to astral travel to this location right now. I'm going to lay down, and in the next 30 minutes I'm going to fucking do it. Alright? That doesn't mean you pressure yourself and you get all crazy. You just have the confidence that, guess what? I am going to break through. If Spirit tells me to leave the job, I'm going to fucking do it. If you have to start to... You are the only solace you have. You're the only thing that exists. So if you're not having breakthroughs, you're not doing jack shit. You're in a holding pattern. You're in a cycle. You're in a circle. Okay? And that circle is what keeps you in the circle of reincarnation, because like begets like. Affinities are the key to this realm, the law of correspondences. So if you correspond to the gods, when you walk up in the god realm or in the angel realm or in the demon realm or in the whatever realm, and you want to go walking around kissing people's feet and asking them for favors with your rent and shit like that, you look like a peasant, okay? You have to walk in there with confidence that you are as or above them, and you have to deal in chaos. You can't deal in order in those realms. Order doesn't exist. It's part of the hierarchy of the ego state of Jehovah, of Earth. So you have to have a little bit of swagger and a little bit of chaos in your eyes when you walk up in those realms. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you can bring to this realm as you continue to break through. You can bring that God particle. It's the worst thing I've ever said. I can't believe that I just said that. I hate modern science, man. It's a shod. It's a shame. But the God particle. It's the stupidest fucking phrase. If you... Particles don't even exist. Okay, so if you want to bring your God nature through, you gotta have breakthroughs, right? So the only reason I got happy halfway through this video is I realized I can leave this YouTube channel behind. Finally, it's a breakthrough. It took me 4 months. Each day, even some days I didn't even remember that I had a YouTube channel during these last 4 weeks. I didn't even remember that I had a YouTube channel. I didn't look for comments. I didn't look to see if someone liked it or if I was getting more views. All that's just bullshit. And so I had already left it behind. I just needed to come on tonight to really cement it. So yeah, I'll see you guys when I see you. And maybe if I make a new alter ego, since you guys were a great crew of people to hang out with, I'll put a little video, a short video on here telling you about my next alter ego so you can continue to see what I do next, if you so choose. But yeah, so basically, who knows? Anything can happen. Maybe I'll make more videos after this. But for right now, for indefinitely, this channel is over. So, Ranulf has died tonight, and it's a beautiful thing. He was kind of a linker, you know what I mean? And with me being who I am, I've built a mythos into Ranulf naturally. A lot of you guys, if you know, you got to do your own research, but if you can follow the thread of Ranulf, you can find out some things about me. If you so care, because that's just my ego pleasing itself. But Ranulf does point to a little bit of my godhead as well, as does your name and the names of your ancestors and all that kind of stuff. So it's the finger pointing at the moon, like Bruce Lee. You don't look at the finger, you don't look at Ranulf, you see what Ranulf's pointing to. So you can use etymology, you can use whatever you want. But basically, don't do any of that. Don't even care who I am, because it's all about you. in this game. It's all about you remembering who you are. And the only reason I made any videos was to help. They weren't that much of a help because of the style, in terms of reach, in terms of amount of people they helped. Because of the style of the videos, and because I wasn't hard enough worker, I didn't have an entrepreneurial spirit. But but the people they did help, like I said the whole time, is exactly who it was meant to help. And so we can all be thankful for the fact that anybody even watched any of this and that it sparked any remembrance in them. And with that, namaste. I love your God part of you. Fuck your humanity. I couldn't give a shit about it. Okay? And we're on to the next. On to the next incarnation. Ranulf is dead. I really feel like I should slit my throat or something right now on video. That'd be more epic. But then I'd have to go, the angels and the ancestors and all types of spirits would have to conspire to clot the bleeding, because I still had more time on this earth. And it would really be pretty stupid, because I don't like people that fail at committing suicide. It's kind of lame. So, Ranulf's dead. He's just a figment of our imaginations. He doesn't exist. This has been another figment of our imaginations. He doesn't exist. And I'll see you guys on the other side.